Hi, this is John Scott Dixon with Marketing on the Run. I haven't done this in a while. It's not because I haven't been running or because I haven't been marketing. I just haven't been doing Marketing on the Run. So this is the setup for a series of new entries into my video blog. And I'm going to be talking about pay-per-click advertising or Google AdWords, Yahoo advertising, Bing advertising, that kind of stuff, even Facebook advertising. And so I want to set up kind of the construct so that we'll have a method for talking about how to be successful in this space. One of the things I've noticed, I work with lots and lots of clients. Some of them spend upwards of $750,000 a month on AdWords and Yahoo and that kind of stuff. So seeing a lot of volume, it's enabled me to create some tools that we'll talk about that are pretty interesting in helping you maximize your return on investment. But basically, when you think about running one of these campaigns, they break into things like, it's a campaign. Then you have what are called ad groups, and within ad groups you have ads. And obviously you have keywords associated with each. What is important to understand is that when you have an ad group, you need to make sure that you're running 2 ads, not 1 ad, not 3, not 5, not 8, not 12, 2. And I usually find one of the 2 extremes, most commonly running just 1 ad. Well, if you run just 1 ad, you'll never know if it's successful or not. You assume it's successful, but you're comparing it against nothing. Need to shift. If you're running more than 2 ads, your chance in most cases, in a company where they're spending 750 grand a month, you can run more than 2 ads, and that would be an exception just because there's enough volume generally that you can understand it. Now, that's not always true. Even if you have a ton of money, some ad groups will just never produce, and the keywords attributed to that will never produce more than a certain amount of impressions, and that's just the way it is. So what I like to say is, rule of thumb, stick to 2 ads. Now, when you create those 2 ads, initially you need to make them as varied as cat and dog. They need to be very different so that you can get a feeling for which is going to be more powerful, because you should, if you've set things up right, you should understand what the conversion is, with the exception of Facebook, which doesn't allow that at this point. You'd have to track that manually through Google Analytics or something like that, but that's something we'll cover later. But in most cases, like with Google AdWords, you can track down to the conversion level. So you need to know, is the cat winning the day or is the dog winning the day? Well, the way to get through and start creating different ads generally is, well, number one, make sure you have a call to action in both, right? So don't write an ad that doesn't ask people to take an action. Next, you can break things up by using superlatives. So you can have a title that indicates why your product or service is better than the rest. So that would be an example of using superlative. We're going to get into this in obviously more detail in this series. You can use simile. So like Grandma used to make, or whatever you want to put in there that helps people kind of. I take that back. That's not simile. That's more of a personal connection. But simile is comparing it to something that this is like a killer recipe, right? It's clearly not a killer, but it's whatever. That could also be an example of hip. And when you do hip, you have to think in terms of your target audience. Hip for a 45-year-old is not necessarily the same as hip for a tween. Well, it's definitely not the same, and probably vice versa. Okay, so think about your audience and then determine whether or not what you're saying is actually hip, right? The other ones, the most common is attribute based. So, talking about a specific attribute of your product or service that's going to resonate. These are things you can stick in the title. These are things that you can stick in the description, whether it's the Google form factor, the Yahoo form factor. Embed these in the description. Obviously, in the title, you generally want to lead with the keyword that's most powerful for that ad group. Again, we're going to get into more of this stuff in greater detail as I do this series on pay-per-click, but I hope that gives you an initial introduction that makes sense. Okay? So signing off for Marketing on the Run, John Scott Dixon. Have a wonderful day.